G'day guys, Shaka back from Azraels Armoury here with a LMG. So this one here is for a customer. He's requested that we put an Apache into it, a retune, things like that. We have managed to get the Apache in there. However, it's feeding and running fine from what I can tell because he had feeding problems before it was even touched. So his mag had some feeding problems, and I know reading through a lot of the forums and things like that people are having some feed problems with these. So it might come down to maybe potentially running like a softer gel or a smaller gel to try and sort out that feed problem. So Jamie mate, if you're watching this, you might have to try different gels just to see how, get it feeding sort of perfectly. So I just don't want to chase a ghost because the Apache seems spaced to where it should be. However, if I bring that nozzle rubber back some more, we might start getting double and triple feeds and things like that. If I'm trying to chase a feeding problem when these things have been known to have feeding problems with the magazines. So right now I feel like it's at the optimal sort of point that it's at. Inside the gearbox they are running a proprietary spur. So the sector and the bevel are actually your standard V2 style sector and bevel, so they can be interchanged. However, I wouldn't recommend running like a cast spur, which is a proprietary sort of size with like a carbon steel sector and like a carbon steel bevel. Just being that you've got two materials that are different in terms of hardness, and one will create a debilitating wear if it's not sort of perfect or correct. So just got to be careful with stuff like that. So what I have done is I have changed out his sector because they do come short stroke 2 teeth from factory on a 50cm barrel, which trying to bring back some voluming in the blaster just because it is missing those 2 teeth. What I have done is downgraded his spring just a little bit because the spring in there are quite heavy and quite big. So at the moment this thing's running an M110 spring, just being that he is more of a mill simmer and skirmisher and things like that, and I didn't want to sort of push him up to crazy town. The Apache is creeping up in numbers as that main compression spring is settling in. So at the moment we're seeing like a lot of the readings at about that 310 to 330 mark sort of thing. We are getting some smaller gels come through that might come through the contact like 280, stuff like that, 290, but that's the minority. The majority of them are well and truly over that 300 mark. So the next step for him will be to attach the Hellfire that he's requested that we fit to it. But successfully put an Apache in here, so it is running, and we'll give it a bit of a shoot so you can hear.
What else did you install in it? The piston?
It is running an Aztech piston as well. So it's got our Aztech piston with our CNC head in it. And obviously the Apache, it came with a full cylinder, which was good, so I just left the stainless steel cylinder in there. The gearboxes are very, very hardy. I've noticed that the gearbox thickness, especially around the front where the cylinder head sits, is nearly 3-4 times as thick as your standard sort of V2 thickness. So I dare say that you won't have any problems with gearbox housings on these things. They do seem very well put together, very well made. However, like I said, they do run a proprietary spur, so that spur is a different size compared to your standard sort of spurs. So yeah, I've pretty much gone through, retuned it, rerun it, left it as is, just changed out the sector sort of thing. It's got standard motor, everything else is standard, but we'll give it a bit of a... You can hear it's definitely got the Apache in it.
That's insanely loud.
And we'll put some gels in it.
Crazy.
So what I am sort of seeing is that being that the barrel is so long, and these are the blue packet eye hobbies, which are noted for growing to about 7.1 to 7.2. So they're the blue and black pack at iHobby. They're very, very small. So what I would suggest is running a bigger gel because he is running a bigger diameter barrel, and that would creep your FPS up more. So yeah, give it a test with different gels and things. However, at this point, I'm a little suspicious on this magazine not feeding correctly because I've adjusted this Apache nozzle so many times, and I'll either get no feeding or quadruple or triple feeding. Right now it seems to be at the optimal points. Now I've got to go and have a look at the magazines and figure out how we can make the magazine feed better.
And it was feeding, had that exact same feeding issue on the normal tappet.
That's right. When he brought it in, his biggest complaint was it fed poorly. So, you know, putting the Apache in, he's hoping to remedy that a little bit. However, I don't think it's so much the blaster itself. It's going to come down to the magazines, which about to pull this magazine apart and figure out how it's exactly working and why it might be potentially jamming, and sort of go from there. But Jamie, mate, she's nearly done. A little bit, slight more tweaking to do before I'm happy to let her go back to you. But we did it. We got the Apache in there. It can be done. And yeah, I'm sure if you want to run a bigger spring, you can definitely creep that up. I just thought drop it down to an M110, make something super reliable for you so you can just hold down the trigger all day long. I'm sure if you put an M120 in that, you're going to creep up to 340, 350, things like that. So, Jamie, mate, she's nearly done, nearly there, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Cheers.